Can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, SciManDan. It has come time for a Guardsman Arm rant. You know better than anybody, bro. Think about it. 1950s through the 1960s, the supersonic high-altitude flights done by the XB-70 and the Concorde. What were the fuel additives? Barium oxide, strontium oxide, barium alumide, dimethylalumide, strontium alumide. There's a couple of different ones in there that I'm sure you've heard of. Also on top of that, there are several different types of chemicals that are going into shale fracking that end up inevitably in jet fuel. So when you say that chemicals or chemtrails are not a thing, exhaust products. I mean, come on, bro. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You're a rocket scientist. So am I, but who's counting? We really need to pay attention to where we go and stick our feet, because it just so happens that dog shit don't come off that easy. I'll back you in any other play you throw, man. Pretty much really. I mean, unless you go fucking trying to join the Globetards as well. But well-known, well-documented science. Unacceptable. You're a scientist. SciManDan, that's your name. Right? Your YouTube handle or whatever. Come on, bro. You know better than this. You know not to go sticking your dick in a light socket. It's pretty stupid. This is coming from somebody who, dude, I've backed you 100% the rest of the time. Everybody knows that the world is not fucking flat. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out, but obviously, I guess some people still need to hear a genius say it. Great. But unfortunately for you and for all of us scientists, when you go opening your mouth and, you know, getting the old tongue tangulation with the trapezoid, no! Just don't go sticking your dick into that particular... That one's a live wire, okay? I'm serious. Chemtrails are real. Even the President of the United States has admitted to this. Finally, after being pestered all the fuck. NASA used it in their rocket fuel. Come on, bro. XB-70 bomber concept that was being tested back in the 50s and 60s used a barium alumide as a catalyzer. We use platinum in gasoline. I mean, yes, these metalloids are out there and they can make people sick. Okay? So, not this one. It's not conspiracy theory, it's conspiracy fact. When there's enough evidence there to say, well, in a court of law, they'd have been convicted of a crime. You gotta go, okay, well, give up. Yeah, you're right. Chemtrails are real. And it's a scary reality. It's one that we just have to deal with. Now, I saw a lot of comments on your video about why aren't they running around in gas masks if they believe that shit? Well, one, it makes you look like a dumbass. Two, it wouldn't fucking make a difference. Not at all. One, yeah, it's dust, particles, but it's neither here nor there. A gas mask would filter that out. But it doesn't help if it's already in the air you're breathing in, because it is so dissipated into the environment, into the air around you, that they're tiny little dust mote particles. They're on everything. You go and you put your gas mask in your closet in case of something like chlorine attacks or something, like a terrorist attack, and yeah, that will save you from that, okay? But a gas mask is not going to save you from something that's been building up on the gas mask. You got to breathe all that out first to blow out the crap and then breathe in. Well, it's already there. It's not like it's going to make a difference. And you say, well, no, it's not there. It's in your clothes and it can't get it. Yes, it can. Yeah, it can. You go like this, across the surface, look at your finger. A lot of that dust is skin particles. Yes, I'll give you that. Okay. But what about the stuff that's not? And you'll have to have a microscope to be able to tell the difference. That's the point. Okay? These particles are microscopic. It's not like you can literally just go, oh, well, I can see it. What? Wait, your eyesight's that good? Really? You should be at Harvard studying bacteria. Or not Harvard, that's a school of law. You should be at UCLA or UCS Berkeley. Some of these big universities that study this sort of stuff. You should be down at, with the CDC, working on deadly pathogens, because you don't have to look at them under a microscope. You can see them. I mean, if your eyesight is so good that you can see particulated barium, that's where you should be working, not at NASA. Because NASA, you already know this. NASA actually uses barium in a couple of their different processes. Barium oxide is extremely toxic. And as a matter of fact, unless I'm very much mistaken, barium oxide, not barium itself, but barium oxide, once it has been bonded to the oxygen atoms, okay, it becomes extremely toxic, because now it can actually make its way into your body. When it's just barium on its own, it's whatever. But once it becomes oxidized, it is extremely toxic. And most welders know this. The people who do welding, they know this. Because guess what? They have to deal with barium oxide all the fucking time. Why do you think they teach you? Keep your face this far back from the welding stick when you're welding. It's because it's got barium oxide in the flux. You're a rocket scientist. Obviously, material sciences is not where you actually stand at, okay? Fine. Great. So hand it over to a material scientist. Let them take care of it, bro. It's not that big a deal. It's not that hard. It really isn't rocket science. It's aerospace and material sciences. Like I said, I back you on the globe thing. I've been backing you on the globe thing since I first heard about it. I mean, come on. How stupid can you be if you're going to believe that the earth is flat? I mean, what? You've never climbed a mountain before? Oh, you've never seen a raindrop before! But stay away from chemtrails. They're admitted. phone's going to be a pain in the ass. You know, as it stands, yeah, I do a lot of chemistry myself, so I screw around with it, you know, do all sorts of stupid shit. And yes, it's stupid. Don't do chemistry unless you know what the fuck you're doing, or you take the appropriate precautions. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you don't take appropriate precautions, you deserve to get hurt. And if you don't, you're also very, very lucky. I take appropriate precautions because I don't always know what I'm doing. So, in case you're wondering, yes, I fuck around with chemistry. That doesn't mean that I'm 100% and up, 1 ton, a total chemist, Superman chemist. No. I do know that some chemicals you don't fuck around with. Barium oxide's one of them. So is aluminum. Believe it or don't, particulated aluminum is incredibly toxic. I cannot even begin to describe to you how toxic aluminum really is. It can cause renal failure. It can cause liver failure. It can cause early onset Alzheimer's disease, diabetic ketoacidosis. It can cause adrenal failure. It can cause adrenal fatigue. It can cause many different mental health issues. Aluminum is incredibly toxic when it's in its particulated form. You know, in its solid form, you know, whatever. It's nothing big. I mean, we use aluminum all the time. You can see right here, this flashlight's made of aluminum. It's fine. It's not going to cause me any harm. It would if I flashed it in my eyes, but that's not because of the aluminum. That's because of photonic energy and it bombarding my neurons at the back of my eye. Now, aluminum isn't that big of a deal when it's solid, when it's a solid mass. But when it's in its particulate form, it is incredibly reactive, and it can cause all sorts of problems with the human body. You know that as well. It just so happens that aluminum is one of the most readily burning metals on the planet. It also tends to be a great catalyst for fuels, and, you know, when it comes down to it, jet fuel burns a lot more readily and a lot hotter when you have just a little bit of aluminum particulate in it. Just like gasoline burns better when you have just a little bit of platinum in it, or a little bit of dimethyl mercuroid lead. You ever wonder where lead poisoning came from back in the day? There you go. Dimethyl ether, dimethyl mercury, dimethyl lead, or dimethyl galenic mercury. Take your pick. They were all used in gasoline. It's where we get the term unleaded gasoline from, is back in, you know, back before the 70s, it was leaded gasoline. They still use it in jet fuel. They still use it in rockets. They still use it in all sorts of different applications, just not in the civilian automobiles. Big whoop. It was one thing, one little band-aid to fix up a world of fuck-ups. Both of us know better than to go and say, chemtrails aren't real. I made that mistake when I was younger. I said, "Oh, okay, that can't be real. It can't be possible." Scientists say. What did we say about scientists saying things? It only takes one dumbass following one scientist to make a whole line of retards. Okay, so let's look at this objectively. Yes, there are a lot of chemicals that go into jet fuel and the makings thereof. So saying that chemtrails aren't real is kind of like saying Donald Trump's toupee keeps on holding to his head in the wind. It doesn't fly. Get it? It's kind of like saying the earth is flat. Doesn't work. Anybody with a half a brain cell and access to the Rockies could tell you the earth isn't flat. So, now that we can understand this, just a little bit of effort on your part, bro. You make great videos. I mean, your accent makes it even better, but you make great videos, all right? And you take on some of the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet, which is something I can't understand, you know, and still I try to do, but I just can't understand it. Because my mom told me and raised me this way, never argue with an idiot because they'll beat you at their own game. So as it stands, you know, this is one of those... Oh! It's not conspiracy theory if there's facts to back it. I'm sorry I have to quote Glenn Beck on this one, but it's not conspiracy theory, it's conspiracy fact. Bummer deal, bro. Hope to see you on the next Tinfoil Tuesday, though. That was an excellent little video. I don't know why it all of a sudden just popped up in my feed rather than, like, I don't know, back when you made it. Maybe that's because I really do call out the bullshit. I get sick and tired of people trying to think, oh, well, I can get away with it because I've got a platform. I hope to God you see this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be posting it on one of your videos. Because why? I'd rather you didn't make the mistakes. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to have your back here. I like what you do. I approve of your message. Don't feed into the lies. It's a great message. But you gotta be very careful about where you tread. Because the reality is, I didn't believe it at first either. And I made a big mistake. Chemtrails are real, okay? They don't call them chemtrails. They call it geoengineering or meteoengineering. It's just a fancy word for saying we're poisoning you from 30,000 feet or 10,000 feet, whichever you choose. No, I didn't believe it either. I actually had to look at the information that's out there. Google did not have a whole lot to do with that. In fact, they were trying to suppress that information. I actually had to go through Tor, and then that didn't really pan out as well as I would have hoped. I had to do a lot of research on things like Concorde and on the XB70 program and on the different jet fuels and jet fuel types. Now, it just so happens that, you know, when a jet's sitting on the tarmac, they might fuel it up with whatever jet fuel is handy. They don't necessarily care about where that jet fuel came from because it's fuel. And if it's cheaper, it's better. Because, hey, they could pass that savings on to the customer, right? They don't normally. They just say, well, this is the going standard price. And they can take that little bit of profit and a little bit of glean and stick it into the CEO's pocket. It's a real bummer, by the way, because the CEO is not paying attention to what they're doing. Now, I've ranted long enough on this. You know, I've browbeaten you enough. By the way, keep up the good videos. I love it. That's why I watch your videos. That's why it even came to my attention. But, yeah. Walk carefully, brother. Price out.